It's time for the big shebang here as we're setting up for Team Expert facing off against Fnatic, the #1 versus the #2, and it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it definitely should be. Expert can now prove how strong they actually are. We already heard Bloomby with a bit of a prediction after they just won against the Playing Ducks. He expects Fnatic to take it with a 3-1 or a 3-2 score. And yes, this is going to be a pretty cool game. The question is, can Fnatic do it once more?
That's right, that's the question here. Fnatic being the #1 in the standings right now. In fact, let's go ahead and look at the standings here as they continue to be undefeated. They'll be taking on Expert, the #2, but here's the thing about Expert. They've been defying expectations for months now, and now this is the moment where it seems to be all coming together here. So while we can't expect a Fnatic victory, it's hard not to believe that Expert could do it.
An Expert, they played, of course, against Fnatic already twice in HGC, and both times they lost, once taking 2 maps and once only claiming 1 victory. And Fnatic, they've been looking extremely strong. They have their own meta, they play a lot around the globals, they pick off heroes whenever they can, very aggressive, especially after level 10 in team fights. And it works well for them, so today they have to prove that. If they take this victory, they are basically confirmed for the Western Clash. So let's see if Expert can change things up a little bit.
We'll see, man. As the schedule today has all the great matches coming your way, but you can also get a feel for what's going to be happening for the second match of the day on our schedule, which is going to be the Expert and Fnatic facing off. Earlier, we did have Team Liquid and Playing Ducks starting the day out. A pretty solid match here for Team Liquid. Playing Ducks, despite the 3-0, did look good there. Later on, North America. Team Freedom, Gale Force Esports starting out the day.
Yeah, Gale Force trying to continue that victory trend that they have so far in the North American HGC. Going up against Freedom, that should be a good one. And Tempo Storm, they seem to be a bit over that slump that they were in, doing really well last time they played here this weekend, so now they have to deal with the superstars.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out where they belong, especially with them changing up the shot calling and such, but Tempo Storm is still starting to come around, and with a couple more weeks around the corner for the Western Clash, they would love to do a little bit better overall, so we'll keep an eye on those matches tonight. But the big match of the day, Expert versus Fnatic, and mentioned by Blumby earlier, Fnatic has some of the best execution right now in HGC Europe. They know how to utilize their compositions to get the effective kills in the most optimal way, and that's what makes them so dangerous, especially past level 10. We have been seeing games, Tricked in particular, where in the first 9 levels, we'll have teams come out and actually do much better than Fnatic before then. So if they can find a way, Expert, to have those first 9 levels be great for them and continue moving forward to the mid to late game, there are moments here where they can score some wins.
They could definitely surprise Fnatic as well. It's something that Quacknix has been talking about when he mentioned that there could be that moment when Expert is trying to pull off a bit of a cheese once again. They did it in the past. They have a lot of strategies prepared, and if they can show that today against Fnatic, they might be able to walk away with a win on a map or two just simply because of the draft they use.
Well, let's hear from ADRD as he'll tell you what he thinks about today's match. What do you think about the match coming up?
Yeah, obviously, like ever since HGC started, like even the first phase, like Expert was the team to look out for us, the 4th upcoming team. So I have respect for them, and I think they are tough opponents. So we just gotta make sure we do our homework, and let's just hope they didn't like prepare some mad cheese that we can't handle. But I eat cheese every breakfast, so we should be fine.
Good for you, Quack. Cheese is great for a good diet.
So versus Fnatic, we definitely will have something prepared. We will have some strats that will work on specific maps, and I think it will help us taking one of the maps by surprising them. And also with this week we were screaming Liquid a lot, and they're doing really well lately, so I feel that we're really well prepared for Fnatic, and this is really good chance for us to win a series versus them. Lately, when we started becoming better and better team, when we prepare something, it kind of becomes meta, so our style stops to being so unique, because if we do something good, other teams pick it up way faster because they recognize us as a good team now. So it's no longer that we're playing some cheese strategy that is odd and doesn't work or sometimes works. Teams just try it out a little bit more, and oftentimes they take parts of what we play to their style.
Expert being under the microscope for a lot of teams there as they study their trends in the way that they attack the game, really. They try to adapt and bring out their own type of plays and their own different chemistry. But that has also put Expert in a scenario where they are playing what's considered more meta as of late, and they have been equally as terrifying.
Yeah, this is something that has been mentioned in Phase 1 already, that oftentimes when they focus on non-gimmicky picks, that Expert can be really the strongest they are, but they still have that flexibility to just show something completely new that other teams wouldn't dare to draft. So it's one of their biggest strengths. And since they picked up Aethero, they have a fantastic solo laner that had a huge impact on their success now too. So I'm excited for today's game. It's going to be great.
Aethero has been a great pickup for them. And let's go ahead and pick up our first battleground. Game number 1. It's going to be Tuma Spider Queen for Fnatic. So first pick, we'll be going over to Expert. For bans, we have Dragonshire not being played and Cursed Hollow.
Yeah, Cursed Hollow out. Both of the maps that I really love have been banned out here. But with Tuma the Spider Queen, we have another map where a lot of wave clear is important, strong rotations, trying to get the web weavers. And of course, if you can stack the first 2 objectives, you oftentimes walk away with a huge amount of momentum and lead in talents, in experience. And that is something that both of these teams will be aiming for.
I'm wondering about the solo lane in particular here. You have Wubby and Aethero. Both these players have been dominating their lanes in the last couple of weeks and really walking forward and giving their teams the advantage for their 4-mans to be as effective as possible. How will these two powerhouses clash today?
This is actually a really good question. Also, which heroes are going to be drafted here?
True.
We have seen Aethero on, he has played a lot of Sonya. We have seen him also on Malthael. So there's actually quite a lot that he can possibly play here. And then we all know that Wubby, of course, can play basically whatever you throw him. So I'm excited. As I said, I'm really excited for this one. This should be good. Fnatic is being put to the test here. They have dominated this phase so far. They have won every single game. And now the question is, are the experts strong enough in this iteration to push them to the limit?
A good way to close out our Sunday here for Europe, as Uther will be banned out. Team Expert not wanting to deal with the presence that he can bring to the field here. What does Fnatic want to get rid of? They can choose to get rid of potentially the Greymane or the Genji here. Genji could be a good ban, but the thing is, this Team Expert, they can play either of the two, so it wouldn't really matter too much. There's always the threat of Medivh as well.
And Medivh is what they're hovering right now. When you go up against Expert, you know that Medivh can be a big problem here. It's also a hero that Fnatic has been playing a bit and that other teams banned against them. So that has been... Medivh overall has seen a lot of early bans here.
Yeah, it's been kind of cut out. I think we've seen 1 Medivh in the last couple of weeks, but we've seen like 7 bans. So Anubarak picked up.
Yeah, Bad Benny immediately moving into the Anubarak here for the start. And again, he's one of the most contested heroes that we have in Europe. Cocoon has so much utility in these fights, and we've seen Anubarak now as a solo tank, as a double tank. You just can't go wrong with him if you pick him up. And Fnatic is hesitating a bit this early on. Of course, we would still expect them to maybe head into the Genji, and there he is, the Italian ninja adopted by a Japanese Prime Lord.
You've got to stop with the Italian. Like, I'm not even a lore expert, and you are triggering me. Like, he is not Italian.
How would you know? Have you ever seen his face? No, you haven't. He has a mustache underneath that mask, I tell you, and he is Italian.
Yes, you can see his face if you play Overwatch. It's literally a skin.
Over what?
And, okay, all right. I'll show you later. Greymane and Genji picked up for Fnatic on the left side. On the right side, Team Expert. Anubarak going to move into it.
I'm so happy I can trigger you with lore.
It's like, I don't care about lore.
This is the actual lore story. It's just what most people don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's not obvious.
It's a reveal down the line.
He's Italian. He was adopted. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Just wait another half year and the Overwatch stories are going to come out, and then you'll be, how did you know?
If that actually becomes truth, I will give you $2 for you being right. You're welcome.
Great, and I can treat myself to something nice.
Don't spend it all in one place, please. Tassadar and Dahaka will be picked up for Team Expert.
Wave clear is definitely a great thing already for Fnatic with the Greymane here, but now that we have Tassadar, the double support is obvious. Dahaka is going to be the solo laner, so very likely that Aethero is going to play him. And then with Tassadar, they will try and go into a hyper carry. And Fnatic is currently thinking about banning out Tracer here. We have seen Nick on Tracer quite a bit. There's still, there's enough supports around right now so that Expert are basically guaranteed to get a good one with Tassadar. Fnatic could also ban out the Vala. I think it's highly unlikely that they're going to pick her. So it's just a question of what they feel threatened by the most.
Tracer does pretty well against Genji after he uses the Reflect, so looking like they want to give Genji the chance to be able to handle himself in fights and not have to deal with that Tracer pressure that comes towards his way, so they could be banning him out. Maybe using this extra time to think about the rest of the draft too.
I could have seen him also just simply ban out a support, trying to say, okay, if we pick the Oriel or we pick Rega, we ban Oriel out, then what are they going to play with? They have Tacita and might have to use the Malphir, so they could play around that. Would also have been an option, but they decide to ban the Hyper Carry out, so it's likely that Expert heads into a Vala, I'd say. Or Lunara, of course.
Yeah.
We've seen her a lot on the map.
Lunara can give them strength in the late game here. And we need to see what ban they go for here. What do they get rid of just to make sure they can set up for those auto attackers? What would be popping up? I mean, do you want to give that solo lane a strong chance here? If you ban off the Malphir, Sonya, if picked up by Expert, which with them having Dahaka, would be able to have a strong lane no matter what.
You can ban. There's too many solo laners. I feel if you get rid of anything, you might be worried about team fights later. Then you can target Malphir, but there's still a lot around for Whipwee to pick up. Even a Leori could be taken here. Can try and target Breeze, for example.
Is it Diablo we're worried about?
Ban out the Diablo that he has been highly successful with. That's one of the potential bans here. There's a lot still floating around here, and Expert, they're taking their sweet time with this, and they banned the support out. Okay, so they, even though they don't have a support yet, they just simply don't care. There's enough around for them. I think they're happy picking Malfurion, for example, here.
True, Malfurion being available. So Fnatic, what will they go into? We've been seeing a little bit more dive from them, actually. Karazim in the mix occasionally here and there. Not too bad with the Raymond and Genji. You get in and force the fights. Bit difficult against Tassadar shields. You could make a mistake, but it gives you the mobility, which could be very useful against the CC that we see here for Nubrak and Dahaka.
Yeah, also, if you save your abilities, you can try and burn down the Cocoon a bit quicker if you have a Karazim in the mix as well.
Yeah.
But for now, let's see how Fnatic runs this. So they are going to head to lock their support in right now, since Expert hasn't picked anything outside of Tacita yet. So you're trying to make sure that you get that choice first, so that Expert doesn't choke you out even more. But we have 2 supports banned out and basically none taken, so there's still plenty floating around for Fnatic to pick up. But yeah, the front line or the solo laner, that's what we are still looking at here. Stitches Arthur is not even heading into the support. Okay, they don't care.
They'll move whatever they want on the final pick.
It has become more popular right now from the teams to head into Stitches, not necessarily as the main tank with the melee assassin, but really having just 2 super beefy tanks up at the front. Arthur's and Stitches now taken, so a super heavy front line. And there's not really a lot that Expert can actually pick against this. They won't be heading into a Leoric with percentage damage now at this point.
2 tanks already.
Most of the percentage damage is gone. You could try and go into a Malphir here, but I think at this point, with how the draft went, Fnatic is pretty safe with this.
There's always KT, but yeah, you're right. With Tassadar being on the field, they're in a spot where they have to go down an auto attacker route, and that means they have to get another support. Yeah, Team Expert might be in a bit of a weird situation. I guess you can go Lunara and get Giant Killer at 13. But that's still pretty far down the table.
Yeah, and also I'm not sure if that's really enough. I mean, it would be a good start.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to see what they are picking now, because I don't think they expect this front line either. And they go into Cassia and they play the Brightwing with this.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Stitches gets a hook and Arthas gets a lockdown, how do they save the Cassia? I guess with a Nubrak burrowing in, can she get out? It's going to be a bit difficult for Expert here. They're going to have some strong early game, obviously, with the charge spikes and such, being able to do some decent damage, but mid-game to late game, Fnatic has a really good position for them. Their draft has been actually pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm really liking what I'm seeing here. For Fnatic, Expert should struggle with this. Cassia's strong, but I don't think they got enough here. Support is still the question.
Give me Lucio!
I'm actually really curious what they're thinking here, because I expected Karazim to be picked.
You hear the music in the background? That's Lucio. He's coming. He's walking down the silhouette. He's dancing, playing his DJ music, ready to heal 2 tanks.
Malfurion. Alright, so a bit more utility for them. Lockdown.
We'll never get Lucio again, man.
They also rely heavily on the shields, Expert that is. Brightwing just doesn't have that burst heal. If you go blink heal, then you have a bit more. But overall, from a burst heal perspective, most of the other supports would have been the better choice for them. So I'm curious how Expert plays around this, because I am liking Fnatic's draft a lot.
Do you think it might have to be an Emerald win pick? Because Cassie's going to be in a spot where she can be locked down. Her range being enough where Howling Blast can come out and lock them down. You want to have something to get away. I guess Force Wall will give you the opportunity, but it's hard.
I like Fnatic's draft a lot for this.
Yeah.
They have a lot of wave clear on their team. They have also Malfurion. I mean, we have seen several Malfurion builds. We have seen a focus in Roots, trying to also make sure that your opponent doesn't get as much healing in. Root is a great follow-up once that we are seeing the hook on Stitches. Then you have the Howling Blast from Arthur's. You have the Cursed Bullet as a potential starting tool from Greymane. I really like what Fnatic has there. And for Expert, I think this is a really difficult draft for them to execute. They are usually really strong with those kind of drafts, but still, I like what Fnatic has drafted there. For the first map, I think they're having a great start into this.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I look at this Fnatic already. I thought was going to come in here and have a strong showing, but this draft right now is very heavy in Fnatic's favor. There is some weird stuff you can do with Team Expert. I don't know if they'll want to go that route. I mean, there's a Valkyrie into the Impale setup into maybe a kill with an Emerald win for the disengage, so you can get isolation, but even then that might not be enough, and it's super all in. Very difficult to pull off on a battleground where you need wave clear and turn-ins. It's a hard world for them.
Yeah, Brightwing at least has a second support in here. I'm not really a big fan of Brightwing as solo support, which we sometimes see, but in this case you have the Tassadar that can help you mitigate some of the damage. And I mean, Cassia has the damage output. If they can get a good setup and she gets in and is able to use that completely and just drop the target, that's fantastic. But I just think this is going to be too rough for them.
There's too many ways to move forward and stop that Cassia from being effective to put that damage out. All right, guys, it's 2 minutes Spider Queen, game number 1, best of 5 series. Can an Expert pull off this wild draft against Fnatic? We'll see.
Game number 1 between Fnatic and Team Expert. And to the left side, it's the boy band with Genji played by Shrimpy, Wooby on Arthur's, Breeze on Stitches, Smexy on Malfurion, and Quatnix on Greymane.
On the right side, in the red, Team Expert, the number 2 here in HGC Europe. Bad Benny on Anubrak, Athuro on Dahaka, ADRD on Tassadar, Curson on Brightwing, and Nick playing Cassia. And Nick, good luck, man. I want to see you put the damage out here and actually secure some kills for your team.
He will have to. He is really the one that they are banking most their hopes on. And if there's a good stun lockdown or from maybe initiated by Anuburak and then a drag coming in on the side of the Haka, there is the potential to drop one of these targets quickly. So this is something that they are hoping to do now. But I like what Fnatic has. As I said before, a good hook into a Root or Howling Blast could be all that you need here. When it comes to Malfurion, after he lost his cleanse and had this slight rework, we now see him oftentimes with utility build, and already with a scouting drone we're seeing Smexy trying to provide vision around the 2 turn-in spots for his team.
Hook comes out, it's going to hit on a Nubrak here. Can Bad Benny get out? He can, but Schwimpy follows up with a swift strike. He takes him away.
Yeah, and there's already a bit of the problem right there. The rotation early on won by Fnatic, so they should dominate the mid and top lane rotation, while we're seeing Arthur's against the Haka at the bot lane. A bit of damage against Quatnix, but overall they're still looking good here.
Now, level 1 for Brightwing. Typically, we see the phase shift build at level 1, but we have the Unfurling Spray here for Brightwing, which does indicate that she'll be near her teammates often, but allows her to be a little bit more defensive about her positioning, which she needs to do against a Stitches into a Malfurion route, which allows for her to sit near that Cassia, but also stay near that backline support line, bring out the heals, and be more of a passive healer for Expert.
Yeah, so for now we're having, I mean, overall the bot lane has been pressured already. Genji has helped out with that. We just need to find out if someone from Expert is going to start rotations down here to help the Haka, because after Genji paid them a visit, Arthas is going to have an even easier time dealing with all of this. So that lane should not be a problem for Fnatic unless Expert starts to rotate down here. But again, here comes the lockdown. Bad Benny should be able to walk out of this. But this is just a simple combo, and it's a ton of damage on Bad Benny. He's down to half hit points. There was a lot of resources used for Expert. And for Fnatic, this is just an easy way to get control over the rotation game.
Yes, this is the issue we were worrying about. Where's the retaliation from Expert when those hooks come in? And they don't seem to have the tools for this. At some point, it's going to be about engaging for them. Granted, they do have the lockdown on Anubrak and Dahaka to pick up a target. If they can get a squishy, they can definitely burn them down.
Again?
But this keeps happening over and over again. And they're not not getting any favorable trades. Bad Benny has a shield here. He's going to live, but he's still falling behind.
They barely keeping it alive. That could have been a kill for Fnatic, and they played really strong around this, so I'm actually liking the way that Fnatic is doing this. And it shows once again, guys, this is really what you have to practice. If you are trying to make plays and learn from the pros, if you have an amateur team, make sure that you duo queue with a friend, you play Malfurion, you play Stitches or any other kind of follow-up for the hook, and every time the hook is thrown out, the root is dead. Just look at how he does this. Every single time Breeze throws a hook, Smexy immediately throws down the root. It doesn't matter if that hook connects or if it doesn't, the root is there. And this is how they are pressuring Expert just in such an unbelievable fashion already early on.
And that's the point to drive home too there. It's okay if the root goes down and a hook does not connect. Be used to the timing. That way when it does connect, you can get the value out of it. Fnatic goes for it, and look at the root. It's coming out even though nothing connects. Trust.
Exactly. You can easily practice that in duo queues, in Team League. Make sure that if you have an amateur team that you set up combos like this in your draft and you practice them. Also, when it comes to talents, there's a few things to talk about here already. On level 4, we're now seeing the icy talents taken for Arthurs. So currently trying to go for a bit more damage. And it's a really interesting build. You really try to just get more damage out with Arthurs and getting the attack speed increase through your E, through your wins here. So this is a really nice adjustment. Once again, just put in a little bit more pressure during these team fights. They're also having on the side of Malfurion on level 4 the increased range, which is going to make it even easier for him to land those roots in place.
I wonder if at 7 we're going to see the Rune Tap or fulfill the Icebound Fortitude. Typically it's pretty normal here, but he's looking to really keep up those auto attacks.
Yeah, Icebound Fortitude is such a fantastic talent, and I know that especially on the... In North America, Arthurs is a lot more popular right now than in Europe. We see him in Europe, but in NA, Arthurs has really become one of the super early picks. He has high priority in North America as a tank. And sometimes we see the icy talents coming in, and Dread is absolutely fanboying the combo with the Rune Tap, and I don't think it has ever happened once. So he's super disappointed by it, and he will be disappointed again, since also Wooby says, yeah, Rune Tap might be nice, but you know what? Icebound Fortitude, it's a pretty sick talent.
Wooby the disappointer. So disappointed right now. Well, we have the Icebound Fortitude picked up for the Arthas over onto Furion. We have a Loon's Brace at 4, then over into 7, going into that root talent once again here, the Strangling Vines.
Denying the heals, yeah. So that's for the lockdown that they have, it's actually a really cool talent, because now the combo with Stitches Malfurion gains even more value. If someone moves in and tries to drop the heal on point, then you have an even easier time to make sure that this is not going to be enough to keep the target alive. But at this point, Bad Benny tries to turn it around a bit, and Smexy is the target of the Burrow Strike, but there's no follow-up to drop him. For now, it's just both teams attempting to get the first turn in here, and Fnatic is just doing slightly better in this.
Slightly better here, still looking for hooks. Dimensional Shift used by ADRD to survive, and you're right, 6 more gems need to be dropped off for Fnatic, where 25 need to be dropped off for Expert.
Fnatic has also 20 additional gems, which is mainly because they dominated so hard in the rotation between the 2 lanes here. So this is pretty important. They zoned out Expert from gems a lot, and also they got the kill against the Nubarak earlier. So if Fnatic doesn't lose heroes and gems with that, it's going to be rough for Expert to keep up in the count.
Fnatic moving towards 9. Experience is similar from both of our teams. Can Fnatic get that turn in? They're trying to do so well. Genji and Arthas is in the bottom, setting up for that turn in, and they harass the Haka enough. Can Team Expert rotate down in time? No, they're actually dealing with pressure in the middle. As Schwimby moves in with the Genji, they're looking at Nick.
Nick is incredibly low, but the cooldowns for Genji aren't there, so he can't get the kill. But this should secure them a turn-in.
Yeah.
They're already with Wooby on the turn-in spot, and yes, there we have it. The blue Web Weavers are descending in the game. And if Fnatic plays this right, they could get level 10 as they start to push in. That would be pretty difficult for Expert to deal with.
Yeah, all they're doing is missing the bottom lane experience to help out with that. If they grab that experience too, they would be able to move to 10. Okay, Wubby is rotating down to do so. So yes, they can hit 10 on this push. It'd be quite the nuisance here. Team Expert at the same time while doing their best to move toward 10 as well. As Nick steps forward, starts clearing out the minions.
It's all about the structure kills now, and Fnatic will already think about if they can maybe get in kill with a level 10 if they hit it fast. And they're doing well thus far. There's the 10. Mali gonna try and make a play here. Curse Bull has been taken. We have Putrid Bile, Dragon Blades as well. But Expert should be able to grab their own heroic abilities unless Fnatic has now a split move. But they're actually splitting onto the lane, so they're not really looking to get a big advantage out of the 10.
Yeah, just looking for the turrets here to keep moving forward. They have the turrets in the top already burned down. Kraken did a good job there. ADRD as well, working on the level 1 talent as he gearing up the auto attacks. And 4 people being in the top is going to be a well down. Could it be a fort as Fnatic keeps stepping forward?
They got serious value out of this. Just destroying all the walls gave them a fair share of EXP, and we currently can see that with an entire level lead. So the first turn-in was definitely a good one. We will still see both of them fight over the second turn-in since they both have heroic abilities, but Fnatic has that ready. So they actually have enough gems to get another Webweaver wave, and that would be rough for Expert. But we haven't seen really too many kills, so the team still hold the gems here. But there is a lot to be lost if a team fight turns against you.
So Team Expert is looking for a way to create isolation here. They have Emerald Wind. They also have Unstable Anomaly. They want to be able to hold down that Greymane, Malfurion, or even Genji if they're able to get a fight to go in their way. ADRD gets hit with a hook, but Dimensional Shift right away. So we have Chain Ball, Archon, Isolation, and Cocoon. Team Expert looking to get some picks.
Yeah, they are trying. Well, first of all, it's Fnatic again with these hooks making these plays. And this makes it just so weird when you're trying to turn in, because thanks to the scouting drone of Malfurion, Fnatic has a very good idea of who is attempting to turn in and where they are positioned. So Sitges always has the ability to land that hook. But now Breeze is in a bit of trouble. It's not too much though, but Benny decides to not go in. That Beetle.
Both teams are willing to fight right now. You can really see it here. And there it is. Bad Bunny goes in. They get Schwimpy. Drag comes out. Tassadar comes out as well. Reflect being popped up. Dragon Blade gets popped. But Fnatic loses their Genji, and they may lose a Wubby too.
Yeah, Wubby is low and is not getting away. Great play around the cooldown on the Swift Strike. That was really well done. Expert sees that we're having Genji on cooldown with his ability, so he can't escape, and that's the moment when we see Expert engaging here. So that was really Bad Benny, just playing incredibly smart and playing around Schwimpy's cooldown, making sure that he can get the kill. So yeah, very well done.
And Team Expert, despite our criticisms, are able to set up for a Webweaver and start pushing in on the lanes here. Top, middle, and bottom. So a good spot here as Dahaka will be on the bottom working on the pushing. Can come in for a brush stock at any point if need be. Can Team Expert open up the walls similar to Fnatic? If they do so, they will actually take an experienced lead.
And I want to quickly highlight again that if you're playing against the Genji or against any hero that is very mobile, it is so important that you pay attention to the cooldowns and you play around them. When he sees the Swift Strike coming in, he immediately realizes there's 12 seconds in which Genji just lacks one of his main escapes. So as long as he engages in that window, he can force a kill, and that's exactly what he did. So he exploits that weakness after he saw Genji use the Swift Strike a bit too early. And as you said, now Expert can take the experience lead. They're doing super well here, trying to get the fort in the mid lane, and we have both of the team now in level 13 talents. But this is exactly what you need to do. It's one of the things also that makes Bad Benny such a strong and such a dangerous tank, that he sees these things and then all of a sudden says, hey, there's an opportunity. Let's take it right now. This is the moment that we waited for.
That's one of the burdens of playing a warrior, is understanding what your opponent has for their advantage and deciding when you can take it and attack them because they don't have that advantage available to them. Genji, a hero high on mobility, the moment he uses one, he loses half of his mobility available to him. But hang on, Nubra gets hooked, Cocoon comes out, Bad Benny will live. Person on the back right keeps him alive.
It's a really cool game that we have now. 1 kill against 2, both of the teams on level 13, very, very even, and both aiming for the second turn-in. Fnatic still has a lot of gems that they're holding here, and it's always these hooks that they are threatening. Breeze alone has 43 gems. 43. If he falls, that would be a disaster. Beauty Pile is used. They're starting to engage here. Wubby is moving back for now. Gets a lot of damage put onto him. But Nick also dropping rather low, up to a point where Curse uses the Emerald Wind, but Nick is getting hooked and killed.
Bring up the hook. With Cassian not being up, Expert has to disengage. They have no way to kill some members here in the fight unless the Archon were to be effective. But the Archon expires and ADRD pulls away. Gonna have Fnatic in a spot here where they're defending against the Webweavers coming their way, and they have 20 seconds to at least get a head start.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually really good for them, because now with the kill that they just got, they missed out on the turn-in, but now they have so much time where they can be aggressive with the defense, and this is exactly what they're doing. Twilight Dream being used too, and they get another kill, a staggered death against Anubarak. Smexy in a great position here, using this perfectly to make sure that Anubarak cannot get away. So it's not only a strong defense against the Webweavers of Team Expert, it's also a staggered death against Anubarak that gives them an even bigger timing window where they can be aggressive on the map.
A mistake you don't normally see from Team Expert, the stagger deaths coming in. Bad Benny not being up for 10 seconds will make it hard for Expert to move forward with these web weavers, and they get cleared up on every single lane. And with 7 seconds and counting, Fnatic has a threat here. They can move in and try to get a turn in themselves. Nick steps forward, but Peter Bile is slowing him down.
Yeah, they're starting to move in. Breeze wants to isolate him, and he does, is constantly body blocking him, but the team doesn't follow up. Breeze is alone. Instead, Tassadar is being focused, and they get the kill, and in the turnaround, we have a second one against Cassia. Fnatic playing quite well here. Breeze occupying Tassadar, keeping her busy, body blocking the entire time, whereas the rest isolates Tassadar, says, hey, we have a kill against Tassadar, take him down first, and then when we turn around, we can still move into Tassadar and Cassia and get both of them. So they have another double kill. And just in the last 90 seconds, we now saw 4 kills by Fnatic, and we have them with another web weaver wave that is definitely going to do a fair amount of damage.
This is where the momentum really starts to pay off for them, as they're able to set up push in the top lane, bottom lane, break open the forts. They're looking for more kills too, just trying to continue the staggered death. And Bad Benny with the root coming out from Smexy is going to fall.
Jesus.
Yeah, man, this is actually very odd to see. Team Expert is one of these teams that usually is okay with backing up and regrouping, but for some reason they continue to get caught. Now, is that a Team Expert having a bit of a poor situation and not reading it correctly, or is that Fnatic that good with execution?
Another one. I think it's really Fnatic being this good with execution, and I can tell you exactly why. If you look at teams that are running on this map with the Stitches and the Malfurion, normally what you see is in the early game a lot of hook combos with roots, and then later on, in the late game, you see that too. In the mid game, this combo is usually falling off a little bit because you are trying to heal other targets with Malfurion, you position yourself differently, and now as we see Fnatic completely body expert. We had Breeze and Smexy work together the entire game, non-stop, without pause. There was never a moment when this dynamic broke off. They always were looking for the kills. And Smexy committed to a talent that we don't see as often anymore on Malfurion, Loon's Grace on level 4. We have seen several Malfurion builds already, and most of them play around utility. But he still gets the Loon's Grace in, and that has been a massive, massive part on how they isolated these targets. The double kill against Anubarak, the kill that we just saw against Dehaka and now against Cassia, most of them enabled by him just being in range for the Loon's Grace, getting the roots in, him also committing now to the level 16, the Tenacious roots. A lot of what we've seen here is definitely on the back of Smexy and how he locks targets down.
And the Fnatic train isn't stopping here. They got a turn in, they got a boss in the top, they are pushing forward. Choo-choo and Team Expert is just clearing out the middle and the bottom, and they need to come over and get a defense on the top lane as soon as possible. But is their defense good enough to stop a boss and a web weaver push for a keep? I'm thinking no.
I mean, at this point, Fnatic, they are really running away with this. I think it's absolutely incredible how they are playing at this point. And I think it's also a bit of a mental issue for Expert right now. If you have a good early game where you can hold strong against this and all of a sudden you're losing hero after hero after hero, this is really starting to gnaw on them. And you can tell, boss is taken, web weavers are synced with it, Dehaka's trying to get experience at the bot lane, but Fnatic is just moving through that top lane, showing no mercy, getting the keep easily, and also having close to 20 in experience, so they will soon pick up their Storm Talents.
Greymane just keeps out those cursed bullets. He doesn't mind at all. With, oh man, it doesn't stop here. Another web weaver push in the middle, but the 20 is right around the corner here. With them grabbing this fort or even another minion wave, they can grab 20 easily. Bad Benny gets hooked in, and Bad Benny goes for the engage. They're trying to take Wubby out.
Yeah, good luck with that. They actually succeed though, as we have in the back Malfurion locked down. That was exactly the engage that the Experts wanted, but they still fall super low, and the hook against ADRD, no consequence just yet. Breeze, on the other hand, with the Pulverize, doing well. Now the 20 hits, but it's too late. A second kill, Malfurion down. Experts showing signs of life, doing well here, but Bad Benny might still fall.
Oh no, shouldn't be missing out on the reset here. He had a setup moment where he can get a couple of kills, is going to be peeled off, and suddenly we're going to have another member fall with the Stitches. And Team Expert, they hold for now. Getting that kill on Wubby in particular in that small window was instrumental for them to have a solid defense.
Fnatic could have waited for the 20, and they didn't, so they played this a bit more aggressive than they would usually do, trying to get the second keep, and this is what Expert exploited, and they did well with it. And thanks to the underdog advantage, they now have all of a sudden, through those kills, caught up in experience. Not 100% yet, but it's just half a level until they will reach level 20 and have Storm Talents. So this is definitely something that worked for Expert here. Good kills by them for sure, and all of it, or most of it, again through Bad Benny with that Cocoon, doing just so well to make sure that they get the initial kill against Arthas. And you have been talking about how Schwimpy just couldn't get the one kill that would have allowed him to secure the resets.
And Team Expert has done everything right here to get towards 20. They've turned off all their gems here. They got the Giants for the bottom. They open up the forts as well. And with Stitches spawning in 5 seconds, they'll hit a pivotal time where they have 20 themselves and can force some fights. A thorough. Not seeing Fnatic on the battleground, is playing safe in the top right, but Wubby might be able to catch him, and they attempt to do so. He burrows for the second, but he will be picked off.
Great kill here against Dehaka again. So the 20 has been reached for Expert, but once more they find themselves in a situation where they have only 4 heroes on the map, and that's a massive problem. And Fnatic doesn't even defend the top where we are. They want the fight. They want the 5 versus 4. They go for Nick. They try to drop him here, and he has no chance. Down he goes. Brightwing using Emerald Wind as Bad Benny is the target. Schwimpy moving in, kill after kill, reset after reset, and 80 already desperately trying to rush away here. But it's another kill secured by Fnatic, now leading with 12 to 5 kills on the map and moving towards the core.
Team Expert had a dash of hope there, hoping to come back here and start opening up the battleground and move in towards a keep kill, even maybe a core kill if they got a couple of picks, but Fnatic denies it completely with the Dehaka pick on the top, and Fnatic, after wiping 4 members, turns around and puts their eyes on the prize, and that is the core of Expert.
Experts losing out on this. Brightwing also attacked. Curson desperately trying to see if he can maybe say something happen. Just not gonna be this day. We have the kill after Malfurion with a Twilight Dream, and this is Fnatic grabbing victory in game number 1 against Team Expert.
Expert putting on full display what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. Their execution continues to be on point. Even that slight fumble towards the end there, when they got picked off, lost Wubby, and lost 3 members in total. The moment Stitches spawned, they moved in for an aggressive play on the Dehaka, got the pick, and it just seemed like from there, not much Expert could do.
Absolutely fantastic play by Fnatic. Their coordination is crazy. It's really, really impressive. Especially when you see all these... I mean, you can talk about basically every single player on a setup when you look at a game like this. But Smexy on the Malfurion, the roots, every single one of them hit, and they always got value from that. So the utility that Malfurion currently offers in that iteration that we have after the patch changes, really helping them. And together with Breeze, them just isolating everyone, Wubby coming in, logging Howling with the Howling Blast to target down even more, was great play.
They did a really good job of making sure to also take down the one target that was a major threat for them, which was that Cassia. There was always a root on top of Cassia, or even a Howling Blast that came out, just to make sure that she was not getting any value out of her trait, and that point Grayman would dive in and get the kills. Now, it was a bit difficult in the early game, but that's fair, you know? Cassia in the early game, pretty darn strong, and Fnatic respected that, but the moment they hit 10, that's always a theme. Their team fights have just been too powerful for a majority of these teams here in Europe.
I feel even before 10, this was just the combo with Stitches, hook into root. Bad Benny had such a hard time at the front. He always shielded for his allies. He did a really good job. They only killed him once, but there were at least 4 other times when he could have fallen, if not for that quick shield from Tacita or him just barely being able to move out. So the threat against Fnatic is always that if you don't pay attention for half a second, you find yourself in a spot where you are just going to fall.
What do you guys think about that composition at home? Let us know on Twitter. We're always waiting for your responses. Use the hashtag HGC at Heroes Esports. Did you think that perhaps that Cassia comp had a little bit more to it? We may have just missed out on it? Or did you think Fnatic won that draft? Because for the most part, Fnatic, ever since the draft, it really felt like they had it underhand. So going into game number 2, I'm expecting a little bit more from Expert. A little more sass, if you will.
Yeah, I'm also interested to see what we have in terms of maps. If maybe we are going to see a bit of an unexpected map today, considering that Cursed and Dragonshire were banned out. So
Braxis is available.
That leaves Braxis open, leaves Warhead open. Usually we don't see those, but maybe one of the teams just says, listen, we have something prepared. We're going to try and show that off right now. Let's see how you deal with it.
I could see in a world, I could see today that we could have Braxis hold out from Expert in particular. I think if we see Warhead at Junction, it will be from Fnatic. We've seen them be very powerful on that map. They've played the global game, which is something that they excel at very often there, especially with Tracer in the mix.
Yeah, the one thing is that when you look at Warhead, there's a lot of teams that don't practice it too much. A lot of teams ban it out or just don't expect it. We have that actually seen in the past. I believe it was in part 1, phase 1, when it was picked once by the Playing Ducks, and you could see, I can't remember who their opponent was, but you could tell that the opponent was absolutely not prepared for that pick. And the Ducks had a strategy prepared and had timings prepared where they were trying to grab the boss, and it worked out beautifully for them.
Yeah.
By now, the teams have adjusted a bit more to the map pool and have strategies ready, but especially a team like ADRDs, a team that is known to try different strategies and different approaches, I wouldn't put it past them that they have something prepared there and going to take us there.
I don't know. Taking Fnatic to Warhead Junction can also be scary on the other side, too. Because think about it. When there was a Team Liquid Fnatic matchup, we actually went to Warhead Junction. That was a Vikings game we had where we had 9 nukes live at one point, which was one of the most impressive / exciting games that I've seen between two teams in a long time.
You have to be careful with the globals. Fnatic is the team that is known for their map control on the global. So if you actually take them to such a big map, you have to make sure that your bans and your picks are also taking a lot of the resources they would usually use away from them.
Well, it's Battleground time. Game number 2. It has been chosen, and the choice is Fnatic is going to Infernal Shrines.